Okay, I'm now ready to reassemble the valves. I cleaned the plates, and I didn't mention it on the other video that you have to check the little plates, the little brass plates, for flatness. Make sure that they're not warped, and the way to do that is just rest them on a very flat steel or whatever surface and check out to see if they're very flat. So you put this washer on the glossy side of the leather valve, flip it over, then goes the felt, and then goes the other plated washer, and then what you do is you slide these four parts over the shaft. They should slide in, but if they're not centered, oh, okay, got them. Push that there, and then you take your little pliers and put the little leather gasket, being careful not to rip it, over the shaft, and then you take the felt, put that over the thing, and then gently squeeze it back. And now we're ready to install the first ring. I picked them up by letting them rest flat against a flat surface. Pick them up in the pliers, and then I just, holding them firmly, just squeeze them gently back, holding a steady pressure. Then I have to check, you have to leave a little bit of wobble in the valve so it's not too rigid and it's able to, you see, like this is too rigid. I'll just back it off. Now that's not too bad, that's good. Now take the other ring, retainer ring, and slip it on, and this one has a little trick to it. I made myself a gauge which has exactly the thickness that is to be used between the two rings, so I put that there and just squeeze a ring to it, and there, that part is done. I got my play. Now I have to put this little leather washer in there, and then this valve, that part of the valve has been cleaned. Check it for flatness by wiggling it around like that, and it's flat. So next stage, I go back to the other setup. Zoom it out a bit. Okay, rest it there. Take the pump. And you see how slowly vacuum is leaking out of it, so it should be quite good as it is now. Next stage, I put a little rubber adapter I made over this setup, and then I put, I don't know if this will seal, I'll probably have to hammer the valve seat, and I put the valve seat over it. It has to be at least flat a bit, and then I do the same test again over the valve seat just to make sure. Bump it, and then I don't know if you can see how slowly vacuum is leaking through it. It's almost empty now, but it's been almost 5 seconds, so a 5-second leak I consider as a good seal. Now what is left is to put the valve back together. And that process I didn't check, but the little pipe I made is to check the distance between the top of the shaft and the first ring. If ever you take it apart, at least I have a reference to where they have to be. Next, I just take this part, which is the bushing and what centers the pin, and with my nails I just scratch the felt bushing to try and collapse it towards the shaft, and enabling it to have a better, tighter feel. I know the best way would be to replace them, but I'm not in that process right now. Next, you take the valve seat, put it on the valve, take the valve shaft guide, just screw it in. Don't try to push it in once you've collapsed it. And then you take the wood cap, which is this thing here, screw it back on, being careful to try and put it in the same threads that it was before, because this being made of wood, it'll have a tendency to strip. Once you have that assembled, I hold it with these little pliers there, and I checked with my gauge to make sure that it gets in between the gauge. So if it doesn't get in, I just tighten the knob a little and check again, and now it's going in. So that way I'm sure that all the valves have exactly the same length from there to there. And the only part left to do is just reinstall the back side of the valve on it, and there you go. This valve is ready to be installed back on the board.